I'm a film critic and features writer for the Washington Post-Express, which, as I always say, can be found crumpled up on the floor of the nearest metro car near you. I'm very excited to be here. I'm very excited to be in a room with people who love the same things that I do. And I know since we're running a little bit late and you all probably have plenty of questions, let me introduce our guests, Charisma Carpenter and J. August Richards.
What's up, everybody? What's up, DC? It's my hometown. So happy to be here.
So we have a couple of guidelines, but they're real small, just so everyone's nice. Please don't ask for selfies or hugs, because then everyone's going to want one, and that would be more hugging than any human being should really do. So just kind of keep it general, happy birthdays, stuff like that. Just, keep it so that everybody gets to have a good time. So we'll talk a little bit and then we will get to audience questions as soon as we can. So let me ask you guys both, looking back on your time at Angel, were there certain moments that you really liked your character arc, the moments that you really felt that your character changed, either for good or for evil?
Well, for me, I really enjoyed turning into a lawyer. That was fun. Yeah, that was different and, unexpected. And, I'd gone from being this very specific thing, and I think they were trying to find a way to just give the character more depth and give me something else to do. But the whole time when we were on the show, there was always a day every season when I was afraid to go to work because I was being asked to do something I had never done before, and I was afraid to do. Like one season, I literally had to juggle on camera, and I spent weeks learning how to juggle. And then when we finally got to set to do it that day, they hired a juggling double for me. And I was so mad because I was like, God, I've been working so hard on this. So we go to shoot the scene and I was really nervous, so I never really got the juggling right. And then my stunt double came in and nailed the juggling. And then Alexa said, no, let Jay do it again. He's been working all week on this. Let Jay do it again. So he made me go in and I did one take and I got it right. And that was the take that was
It just sounds like it's echo, echo, echo. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here. It always feels good to show up at a convention and people are actually in line to meet you and show up for your panel. So your presence is appreciated. Character change.
Looking back, are there certain moments that you look back and you're like, man, I'm really glad I got to do that? Or that was
a very common thing on the show in general. There was lots of fun stuff that I got to do. Nothing really pops out, but why is that so funny? No.
You know what the caption's gonna be? Me and Bay all day.
I love it.
Sorry, I'm so sorry I interrupted.
It's fine. This is probably far more entertaining for them than anything I have to say. I don't know. She changed a lot. I think for her the growth was from the jump, and then after she got the visions in season 1, episode 9, Hero, when Doyle dies and I get the thing, and I think prosthetics really trouble me. I am very claustrophobic, and I think that was probably my biggest challenge was having to put a big, heavy cement thing on do a cast, is what it's called, and straws in your nose and not panic. I think that was probably my most personal challenge, but lots of dialogue always gave me anxiety and stuff like that, but somehow my co-stars were very tolerant and helped me through and made me feel safe, which was always the case. So,
So going to work every day at that time, what was consistently fun? I'm assuming there had to be.
It was fun. We danced, music, and Andy always made me laugh. Like, oh, balls. You know, like his expressions were great. Like we were a good group.
Very good, yeah. The people, definitely. I think we always had fun together. You and I clicked immediately.
We did.
We clicked immediately. We would always be dancing together, and we had to work together.
On Ventura.
Yeah, and that used car lot.
Yeah.
Exactly, but we had so much fun together.
Yeah.
I loved working with you all of those days. They were always fantastic.
Yeah, I'm fond of you too.
Well, since I know we got started a little bit late, let me ask for questions from the crowd. And I don't know, let's see. Do we have mics in the audience, or are we going to be running around?
Hi.
Hey.
I wanted to say first that I love you on Kevin Proudly Saves the World.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And my question is for Charisma. How far planned was your character's arc? So did you know how involved Cordelia was going to be an angel while you were still in Buffy?
Okay. So it was the 3rd season of Buffy, and I had a conversation with Joss and asked me if I'd be interested in going over to Angel. Would I do that? And I said, well, of course, but what if it gets canceled? Like, do I have a safety net? Can I come back over here? And he said, yeah. So I knew the 3rd season. I don't remember exactly at what point in the season it was, but the 3rd season I knew that I was going over. But yeah, so that's when I found out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So wait, Angel debuted at the beginning of the 4th season of Buffy?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Ooh, that must have been scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
But exciting.
So did they guarantee you that if the show didn't work
He said yes.
Okay.
And then I died season 5 4, so you never know. Yeah.
Oh.
And over here?
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, I want to make sure the mic was working. I was just wondering for Charisma, if you could write an episode of Buffy that was all about Cordy, I'm just wondering what you would want to happen, if you could just fill in a fun episode and maybe one of your favorite Cordy lines.
Yeah, I'm not quite a writer, but I would say maybe, we kind of did it on Angel. I loved when Cordelia had a sitcom. That was really fun. And I forgot about that one line, they made me ruler. My character was so damn fun. She was just a hoot, and a lot, like just sitting in a... She was just hilarious, so that's one of my favorite lines.
How incredible does she look tonight? You look incredible.
You're looking fit and lean. We haven't seen each other in a while. I'm sorry, guys. We're very gushy.
We are. Sorry. Okay.
So over here?
Thank you.
Hi. So I've seen Cordelia everywhere. On Veronica Mars, and also with James Marsters on Supernatural, and J.R. Richards is on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is awesome. So I was wondering, are you guys going to be collaborating, maybe on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., maybe somewhere else?
I mean, those sorts of questions are, like, in a perfect world, 100%. But I don't make those decisions. And, I mean, unless we created something, we could,
If we tweeted enough,
that's my new favorite thing. Just create it. All right. Like a web series or something. That's always a great idea. And I have something that I'm working on that is, we'll see. We'll see.
Yay. Thank you.
Over to this side.
Hi, Charisma. I'm a huge fan, but my boyfriend is actually a mega fan of yours, and he missed being here. It's actually his birthday. Could you just say happy birthday, Gary?
Sure. What's his name?
Gary.
Happy birthday, Gary.
There you go.
And there is someone there. Sorry, it's right here. So just use my consistent shielding.
Hi guys, thank you so much for being here. I'm sorry. I am a huge fan of both of yours, and I watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. every week, and I'm hoping that they have more scenes with you, JL.
Thank you.
If you could rewrite the ending for your characters, or in your case, Mr. Richards, the show, what would you have happen to your character?
On Angel or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Angel.
Well, I think that, and I think this happened in the comics, although I haven't read them myself, because I feel like if I read something and then I can't perform it, I'll be disappointed. So I see Gunn being turned into a vampire, because I like the idea of like you kind of become something you hate. I think that's what happens in life, you know? And so I would love to see how he would handle that. You know, having killed his sister, for being a vampire, you know, I wonder what that would have done to him and who he would have become if he were a vampire, how his old friends would view him now. I think it would have been a really cool thing to explore.
And over here.
Hi, thank you guys so much for being here. My name is Michelle, and my question is, what is your idea of a perfect Sunday?
What is your idea of a perfect Sunday?
Well, I'm single, so, you know, laying in bed and I love cooking for my son and his friends. So for me, that is a perfect Sunday, where there's the smell of food coming out of, you know, the aroma of food and bringing people together and having music on, my animals, my kids, my friends, and, you know, a bottle of champagne. That's a good Sunday. Sleeping in, if I can, which is usually like 7. It's so frustrating that I don't get to sleep in anymore. That's what happens when you get old. You stop sleeping. So rude.
For me, it may be like going to church at my church in LA, but then followed by a pool party.
Nice.
With like lots of alcohol. I just love a pool party. There's just something about a party during the day.
Yes.
With a pool and great music.
Do you have a pool?
I do not in my house.
Okay,
no.
we need to get that.
You think so? I don't want a pool.
High maintenance, but you like
the
pool
maintenance.
parties.
Exactly, but I like to be at somebody else's pool party so they can clean up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do all the cleaning
Not
up
in
and
my
stuff.
house.
Not in my house, no, because I don't do that well. So something along those lines with my whole family. You do?
I have a pool where I live.
Invite me.
Okay.
I didn't know. Pool party.
I can do that.
Can we have
And
a pool party?
We have barbecue stations. So it's very fun.
I would love that.
It's very...
Sundays combining.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Exactly. But I also see it in Hawaii now. So that perfect Sunday, all that happened in Hawaii. But I'll take it anywhere,
I like the
really.
food Hawaii.
You don't like the food?
Mm-mm.
What?
I don't know. It's just, I don't like
You don't like
turkey.
Kahlua pig?
No. I love pigs.
Oh,
I eat a pig.
No?
Pig doesn't agree with me.
Really? I love a pig.
Sounds very personal. I can't eat bacon.
I'll eat it.
Like it. It tastes great, but it doesn't like me.
Really?
TMI?
I eat every part of the pig. The feet, the ribs. Not the lips. No, I've got to draw the line somewhere. Bacon, I'm sorry. I do that too.
See, chicharrones.
Yeah, I love that.
The lemon, and then the saladito in the center,
All
and
of
then
that. All of the above.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm a big fan of both of you guys.
Thank you.
I wanted to know if there's any if you're a fan of any shows that are on TV right now, and if you could be on any show, which would it be?
Well, that's a very good question. I'm a big fan of The Handmaid's Tale. I'm a big fan of, what's it called? Mind? David Lynch?
Not Twin Peaks.
Mindhunter.
That's not David Lynch. That's David Fincher.
Fincher.
Yeah. But David Lynch is Twin Peaks.
Yes. Thank you. And I would like to do stuff like, because these are cons, right? So it's not lost on me like how passionate you guys are. I like doing genre-specific stuff like you do. So it'd be awesome to be a part of that. You know, do something in that realm. I'm still capable of kicking ass, so I'd like to do something like that.
I wanted to be on the episode of Handmaid's Tale that you do, but I don't want you to be off J. August, you know what I mean? I don't want that.
You don't want me of J. August?
No, because I want us to be on the other side fighting for the freedom of the handmaids.
I like where you're at.
Yeah, so let's do that. I'll do that. I want to do an episode. Thank you. I'd like to do an episode of Atlanta. Have you ever seen Atlanta? Love that show.
Childish Gambino is in it, right?
Yes, he's a genius.
Yes. Like, I love his music. Wow. Yeah.
You have great taste in music.
Thank you.
She introduced me to the Travis Scott song Butterfly Effect, which I love so much. But I would love to do an episode of Atlanta.
Okay.
What else? Game of Thrones.
Really?
On Game of Thrones?
I've never seen one episode. I just can't get into it.
Really? It took me a long time. I tried the pilot 3 times.
So
it took so long. I had to finally just skip the pilot because everybody was saying how great it was, but the pilot was so boring.
Yeah. Have you read his book?
Whose? The guy who wrote.
Why
Who else's book would you be talking about?
Benioff.
Oh, David Benioff. See, she was talking about the executive producer.
I was. Never mind. I'm too tired. My brain is broke right now.
I have not read his book. I would like to read it.
It's about his. It's a dedication to his dad, who was Jewish, and it was during the Nazi War, and it's when it was being occupied, and it's like Russia, and the invasion and stuff, and it held me hostage. So I wasn't surprised, or I was surprised to see like this very pragmatic writer that's doing a bit of history and then he goes in and does something as imaginative as Game of Thrones. I was really impressed with that. And I don't know if many of you knew that he wrote that book, but whatever.
Nice, I'll check it out.
Over here? Of course, I love you both, but Charisma, I loved your name so much, and of course I loved your character too, but I loved your name. I named my daughter Charisma, so she's 18 now.
Why couldn't she be 5 months?
She's about that size, at least. She's only 5 foot. She's a little girl.
Wonderful, but amazing compliment. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I was wondering, your character, Cordelia, changed so much over the years. How did you feel about, going from, kind of the bitchy woman to, someone a little more rounded?
Yeah, I felt really good about it. I felt really good about it until they wrote me into a box and didn't know what to do. Like, it was great to become like this higher being and all, but then now what? So great.
Thank you.
It was fun while it lasted. Over here?
Yeah, hi. Question for JR. I always thought Gunn's trajectory, story arc, was one of the most interesting because he went from a person of the streets who always wanted to go back to the streets to a person then who needed to get his lawyering skills back to stay a lawyer. Did you struggle with sort of that class warfare you had going on in your head in those last few seasons?
Class warfare?
Interesting. Yeah. Just referring to sort of Gunn's origin of where he came from.
But it's just such a, forgive me, it's a little bit of a hyperbole. No? Like, I don't know, I just feel like that's so extreme. Like class warfare.
Well, that was his arc. He was on the street and then he was a lawyer, which is a pretty dramatic change.
Why is war involved, though?
But he goes from the street to a high-rise law firm.
I'm going to let you two talk. It was certainly an interesting arc. I mean, I think that every show takes place in its own world in a lot of ways. So I feel like in the world of the show, I didn't see it being about class per se, but more about, whenever I think about Gunn, I think about somebody who's very dedicated to family because he lost his family when we met him. The kids that he was protecting, his sister, that was all very important to him. And then over the course of the second season, Angel Investigations became his family. So then when he was given this upgrade, I think that it made him feel more like he had a purpose. And he even says that, it gave me purpose. So I think it was more about his sort of internal struggle to figure out where he fit in the spectrum of these adopted families. So I looked at it more about that, like what does it mean to be in a family when it's one of your own creation? So I thought about it more in terms of that and less in terms of like the real world politics of culture and class. I need to write a motherfucking paper. That was amazing. That's a good answer. Pardon my language, kids. I'm so sorry. I know there are children present.
Over here.
Hi, this is a two-part question for both of you. Since you said you both have really good chemistry, did you ever talk to the writers about maybe trying to have Cordy and Gunn in a relationship? Because that's like the only couple that never really happened.
We have such great chemistry, let's make out. Why does it always have to be about that? Why can't it just be friends that just love and adore and, you know, that are family, you know, that would just go to bat for each other? And I mean, that was kind of like the beauty of Angel and Cordelia. They were friends first, and, you know, the fact that they were trying to, but they never got to, you know, like, that just complicates everything. You know? It's a beautiful, no, I never went to the executive and said, I really want him to be my lover. Did you?
No.
Like, I really want Charisma to be my lover.
Do you think that were they kind of trying to maybe like misdirect the audience around that First Impressions episode when we spent the whole episode riding in my truck together to go find the guy? It seemed like they might have been trying to misdirect the audience in that regard a little bit. I'm not sure though. I'm not sure, but you never know what's going on. They never want to give the audience what is expected,
right.
So I don't know.
The other part of it was, just in general, was there anything that you wish your characters could have done on the show that you might not have gotten a chance necessarily to explore?
Stayed alive.
That was a great answer. Your mom's calling?
I think I FaceTimed her by mistake.
Oh my God. Can you say hi real quick? Let's FaceTime her real quick while I'm answering this question. What I would have loved to do, I actually did want to see Gunn become a vampire. Because again, I think it's so fascinating when you become the thing you hate, or the thing and I think over the course of time he learned how to accept, obviously, Angel, but he came in with a lot of, you know, resistance toward vampires. So I just think that conflict would have been interesting to explore with the character. I would have liked to do that very much. Is Mom on the phone yet?
Over here.
Hi, I enjoyed both Angel and currently working my way through Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Nice.
And
how far are you?
I'm at the beginning of the third season,
nice.
So don't spoil anything for me yet. But I guess my question is, what do you like the most about playing Deathlock, and what's the hardest thing about playing Deathlock?
So interestingly, again, here I am playing this character that is all about family again. And so it's interesting because I believe in this concept that the roles choose you in a way. And I'm very close and connected with my family too, and have had to redefine over the course of my life like what that means and what priority I give them. So I feel like I've gotten chosen. And again, on Kevin Probably Saves the World, I think I'm playing somebody who's all about family as well. So that aspect of it I really connect to. So I oftentimes just don't think of the character as having any superpowers. I just see him as a father who will go to the greatest lengths to protect his family and to also lead his family. So he desperately wants his son to see him as a hero because, you know, he felt like a failure for so long. So that's the part that I love. The part that is hard is the costume and the makeup. It's just layer upon layer of
You're not in
things.
a suit?
I'm in a superhero suit.
Right.
Yeah.
Why
That
do you have
part
layers and layers of makeup?
Oh no, well I have because half of my face is burnt. Yeah.
So you have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like two things I don't want to do as an actor.
Is get covered in makeup.
Or be in the water.
Oh, I didn't know that about you.
I don't want to do that.
But we're having a pool party.
That's my choice.
Okay.
It's not being in the water, shooting a water, but like, you know, some...
Underwater?
No. Ooh. I don't see water. It's cold, it's wet, shivery.
You're half dressed all day.
I just did like a mini series or whatever, and it's like something 911. I don't know.
Yeah, 911 on Fox.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't want to work, right? But
Right.
like water, it'd be really hard.
You're talking about that scene when they were in the elevator and the water started coming up?
I don't know. I just saw like this whole thing, and I saw this interview that the actor was doing, and he was saying we were in the water. You know, when you work on set, I don't know how, you know, long hours, and you're wet the whole day.
Oh yeah, that'd be rough. I love that show though. I've seen every episode, believe it or not. 911. Yeah, you've never seen it? It's really good.
I will watch it then.
Has anybody else seen it? Does anybody else like it?
Is that the lead actor the guy that was in the Angelina Jolie film?
Which
Is he
one?
Australian?
There is an well, I think he's British. There's a British actor on it, and Peter Krause is the star of the show from 6 Feet Under.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love that show. Angela
Never stops
Bassett.
working.
Never. Sorry.
Keep going.
Over here, yes.
Hi, I'm actually a big fan of all three of you.
Oh, nice.
This is the first for me.
I read your stuff all the time. So actually, can I ask all three of you a question?
Of course.
So you've talked about music, and if you're having a rough day or you're feeling kind of sad, is there a song that always makes you feel better?
An old man turned 98, won the lottery, and died the next day. It's that black fly in your Chardonnay. It's a death row pardon, 2 minutes too late. And isn't it ironic? Don't you think? But the funny thing is, I actually meant to sing "You Learn" by Alanis Morissette. That's the funny thing. That song gets me through anything. You know that song, "You Learn"? She basically says, "You live, you learn, you laugh, you learn."
Sure.
That song just takes me to a happy place. How about you?
It's really hard for me to narrow down any one song for a specific emotion unless I'm in that emotion.
Right.
I don't know. Call me.
Let's check the playlist.
Call me.
Okay.
And
Why is this your ringtone?
Right now.
Okay. Okay.
I can't remember the name of it right now, and I'm too lazy to go into my phone. I'm white. I haven't had this many.
Which one is that?
None.
None? No, one of those is. If not, none? I thought so. I know, I just texted you the other day. That's a good one.
And over here.
Wait, you didn't answer the question.
Oh, me? Oh, God. I'm so hurt. No one ever asks me questions. I'm always the one who is asking the questions. And now I can't remember a single song I have ever heard in my entire life. Okay, I'll tell you what. And it's probably for some of you, it's going very old school, and for me, it is not. Elevation by U2.
Oh, nice. I like that.
I have that on my phone.
Nice. I'm sorry, I've been looking for a song too. I love talking about music.
We do it.
Yeah, lately this song has been making me happy. I hope my phone plays. It's probably not going to. Dang, I had no reception. Darn it.
Well, here, let me go over here for a question.
Thank you guys for being here again. I just wanted to ask, if you weren't actors,
To plot your character
character's movement forward from there, what would you, aside being from a vampire, Jay, aside from being a vampire, you can't be a vampire this time, what would you have had your character do? And yes, Cordelia would have lived. What would you have done?
Honestly, I have no freaking clue. I'm just not that guy. I wish Joss was here to take over for that.
Same here.
Do you have an idea?
I don't.
Like,
I
I don't fantasize about what Cordy should have, could have, would have done. I just don't. I was in really good hands, and she did so much, and we were such an ambitious show with special effects and fighting and drama and comedy and fantasy, and like it was just kind of like the gamut on that show, and every day you're using a new tool. So there's no like unfulfilled thing for me. You know what I mean? So I don't spend any energy into thinking about what could have happened, except I wish I had lived.
Right.
You know? I loved season 3. I thought season 3 was super fun. Being in Pylea was awesome. It was a departure, and it was great for Angel to be out in the sunlight, and it created a lot of different things for all of us to do.
That's good. That's great to hear. Thank you.
Was it season 3?
Well, into season 2, into season.
Yeah.
I was really impressed that you knew that was what happened in season 3. I was like, wow, she has a great memory. Because I didn't remember what season was. Yeah, I ditto. I have to say the same, because the storylines were so diverse. Like, it would be impossible to change it because so much of it is interconnected. So I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it either.
Yeah, sorry, man.
No, those were great answers. I appreciate it.
What would you have had us do?
Even as a writer, it still baffles me what else that you could have done, because like I said, you did it so damn well. So just again, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So over here you have the very lucky job of being our last question, so no pressure.
Hi, I have a 2-part one.
Oh, you're gonna be greedy, huh?
Sorry. So how did you like working with Joss Whedon as your writer? And would you want to work on a show that he was writing for again if you had the chance?
I mean, honestly. Really? I mean, as a writer, like, excuse me, it's my turn.
Savage.
Sit down. Just kidding, I'm kidding. Just having fun with you. And Cordelia, wait. He's a great writer. He's an even better director, I feel. So, when a writer is a director, it deepens your performance because he has a nugget of information that maybe you didn't know, or a perspective that he can play with on the day that maybe even I'm doing that he didn't realize I would do, and then he would say, put it in your ear, and then you get a different effect or and that is like where magic is. It's also incredibly terrifying when he directs, because I want to please, and you don't want to have to be doing take after take after take, because then you feel like you're disappointing the boss or this person that you have tremendous respect for. It's like bittersweet, but always makes me better as an actor, and I always grow from that. So I'm all about that. Even though it's hard, I don't shy away from it being hard, but I know that it's going to be challenging, personally, to live up to that standard, whatever that standard may be. Like, did I get it right? Did I do it? Like, why are you having me do it again? And he may not even know why he's having me do it again. Like, I remember I had one scene with Angel, and I think it was season 4, and he said, "Were we ever in love?" And I have to say, we were. So he made me say we were a lot. And I just didn't know what I wasn't doing. And a good director can tell you what they're looking for, what they want. But I think in that moment, I'm not even sure he knew, which is rare. I mean, I'm speaking for him, I shouldn't, but I don't know what he was thinking. But I just felt like it wasn't working. And so he told me something. I don't remember what he told me, but but it was important. Kind of pinnacle to the story. I digress. He told me something, and I did it, and I think I like looked down, like almost like there was shame in saying we were, and it was spontaneous, and I don't even think it had to do with the moment as much as it was like maybe just being open to just doing it without expectation and not trying to put something. It just happened, and I just looked down, and he goes, "That was it!" And I was like, oh, like you just don't know. You don't always know, but for him, it just felt like I was sharing a loss by saying we were. Instead of it being an affirmation of us being in love, it was just sadness that we were. I'm getting emotional just talking about it. It was just a really beautiful thing. Does that answer your question?
You ended on a strong one, so good job. I think I can. I'm sorry.
So, when we finished Angel, I would watch the episode sometimes sporadically afterwards and go, oh my God, that's what that episode was about. Because when you're in it, it's so fast and furious, and it was such a wonderful experience. And then, you know, getting a little older and wiser and watching episodes, I would come to realizations about really how brilliant the show was. And even when we were doing the show, I constantly kept saying to myself, this might be the best job I ever have in my life, because I don't have to go to work every day reciting stats and statistics and some procedural. Every episode was like a different genre. You know, there were so many challenges and stuff. So all of these years I kept saying, man, I hope I get to work with Joss again. I hope I get to work with Joss again. Then I saw they were doing Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I called my manager and I said, I really want to be in that show. And she goes, honey, I'm sorry, there's no role for you in the show. And I was like, there's no role for me in the pilot? She was like, there's nothing that you could play in the pilot. There's just no role. And I was like, okay, all right, that's cool. So then I still saw myself being on the show for some reason. And then manifest. So then they actually started casting for the pilot, and I wasn't going in. And then I did not.
You've been to his home.
Yeah, no, but I'm very shy about those sort of things. Sure. But she told me that there was nothing for me as far as my type goes, so I believed her, right? So then, my New Year's resolution that year was, if I want new things, I have to start doing something different. So one morning in February, out of the clear blue sky, that same manager called me. I should give you this backstory that I refused to go in for a same-day audition. Sometimes they call you in the morning and tell you to come in that afternoon, but I don't like doing it because I feel really vulnerable, I feel really naked, I can't prepare, and I'm someone that prepares a lot. So I need a minimum of 24 hours. So I had a rule that I would not go in for any roles that I didn't have 24 hours to prepare for. She calls me at 11 o'clock in the morning after I made this New Year's resolution, and she said, I know you're gonna say no, but you have an audition for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. today at 3. And I wanted this so bad, and my normal reaction is no, but the first words out of my mouth were yes. And so the stakes were even higher because, you know, it's my former boss. And I have to be good. So if you go in for somebody like a Joss who had just had Avengers out, highest grossing movie ever, the stakes were so high, but I get so nervous when I feel unprepared. So I said yes. And she said, you can show up an hour early, read the material, and go in. So I said yes. I showed up, I got the material, and the line that's in the pilot was in my audition scene where the character's back is against the wall. He's lost everything. He's lost his family. He's lost everything in his world. And he thinks that S.H.I.E.L.D. is about to kill him. And his dying words in his own mind are, I could be, you know, a hero. And I understood that. Because 3 years prior to that, I had not worked as an actor. I did 3 guest stars in the first year and a half of my unemployment. That's 3 guest stars. And then for 1 year and a half, I didn't book a single job. My world was changing. in my life. My world was crumbling a little bit. So I understood that when you still believe in yourself, but everything is falling apart. So when I saw that line, I just said, I know what this is. So I put it away, they called me in, I said hello, this was on tape for Joss. I go in and I just read it off the paper because I said, if this guy is where I think he is, then I'll know how to say everything, and I trusted myself. And I just did the scene, and they were like, oh, that was great, that was great, that was great. And I walked out of the audition and I was like, I manifested that. Like, I knew I was like, if I don't get it or I do get it, I got the audition and I went past my fear. I did what I was scared to do. I said yes. Great. Got home that night. They called me and said, okay, you're being considered for the role. Don't cut your hair. Don't do anything, whatever, whatever. I was like, wow, that's cool. Fell asleep. Woke up the next morning and my phone was ringing off the hook. And I picked up the phone. They were like, you got the part. And that was after 3 years of nothing, basically. I go to visit Joss that day, and he says, yo, you killed it, that was amazing. When you said that line, I could be a hero, we all cried. And that was that.
Tell me that I am not the only person who, when you said I needed to try new things, I was like, and then he fired his manager.
That was 1 year later. That was exactly 1 year later.
Well, I think I speak for all of us when I say this has been a real pleasure. Thank you both so much for your time.